Oh, what is going on, YouTube? My name is Brett, and today we're going to talk about The Walking Dead. So, for those of you who don't know, spoiler coming your way, Andrea's dead in The Walking Dead comic book. That happened in issue 167, I believe, maybe 166. I think she was bit. Somewhere around there. It just happened in the comic book not too long ago. And I want to talk today, will Michonne get Andrea's death in the show? Since those two characters are so equally correlated with one another. So, for those of you who don't know, in the comic book, Andrea and Rick are a thing, and just like how Rick and Michonne are a thing in the comic book, I think it could be a real possibility that Michonne does die in the show, like how Andrea died. Before I really get into that, I really think the Michonne character in the comic book is nothing like the Michonne character in the show, because the Michonne character in the show, they're really trying to make her a lot like Andrea is in the comic book, or was, I should say. So hang with me here. So I think Carol from the show is a lot like how Michonne is in the comic book. And I think Michonne in the show is a lot like how Andrea is in the comic book, if that makes any sense at all. Obviously, Michonne is still a katana wielding badass in the comic and the show, but just how she's Rick's lady in the show and how Andrea is Rick's lady, or was Rick's lady, I should say, in the comic, those correlations, she's learning to be a more of a sharpshooter in the show, even though she really isn't that good, she's getting better. Where Andrea was a great sharpshooter in the comic book, so they're paralleling that. Just like how I said, Carol in the show is a lot like Michonne in the comic book, is because Michonne kind of goes off and does her own thing after All Out War happens, and she ends up coming back to the group, and so on and so forth. Kind of like how Carol in the show this last season, season 7, was like, nah, I don't want to be bothered anymore, but then the war kind of brought her back. And I see Carol, after All Out War is over with, she's just kind of like, I'm done, I gotta leave, at least for a little bit, and she'll go off and do her own thing, and maybe like in season 9 we'll catch up with her. So getting all the way back to, will Michonne die like how Andrea died in the show? It could happen. I don't see it happen in season 8 at all, because season 8 is going to be all Out War. That's all it's going to be. And if they're going to kill Michonne the same way they killed Andrea, because Andrea died pretty much in the same way in the comic and in the show. She gets bit in the neck. In the show, still hate that death. In the comic, it was a little bit justified, I guess, because she was trying to wrangle up a bunch of walkers with Eugene. But still, it's kind of like a really, come on, really? You know, like how she went out. It was better than the show, though. I will give it that. It was a little bit more dramatic, and it was better. It was way better. And I do like how Kirkman kind of tied the show within the comic book, not the other way around, not the comic into the show like how it always is. I like how the show kind of influenced the comic. That was kind of a cool twist. But still, I wish he kind of went out a little bit more dramatically. But still, you know, hey, you go and risk your life, just like Herschel said. You risk your life when you step outside. You risk your life when you take a drink of water. You never know when you can die. And that's what's really good about the Walking Dead world. You know, you don't see that coming from a strong character like Andrea. She's been around since like issue 1 or 2 or something crazy. She's been around forever, since Atlanta. And all those characters are dying off ever so quickly, it seems like, in the show and the comic book. So that's what it came as, such a shock to a lot of fans. But if they do kill Michonne in the show, it will be in season 9, and probably the latter end of season 9, because it depends what they do with the show. That's what really is going to depend on if Michonne's going to die in the show or not, I think. Because, so let's say season 8 is All Out War. That's all it is. At season 8 finale, that's going to be the end of All Out War. And we finally get to see Negan either die or get his neck slashed like in the comic book, which I think is going to happen. But that's a whole nother video. And then in the comic, after All Out War, there's a time jump of like a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere around there, if not a little bit longer. And I wonder if the show's going to do that or not, because that will really kind of influence characters and everything else like that. So if there is a time jump going into season 9, I can see them doing that. Just because everybody's just getting that much older, and you need to kind of spice up the show. I mean, the show can do anything they want. They can change it anyways. I hope they don't kill Michonne. I'd be kind of pissed, because it'll be like, hey, Michonne in the comic is still alive, but Michonne in the show is going to take Andrea's death. I don't think that should be a thing. I'd much rather Carol die in the show, because I feel like that'd kind of be the same dramatic death in like season 9 or something like that over Michonne, because Carol probably wants to die a little bit more than Michonne at this point in the show. But it would be dramatic. Michonne, to me, is kind of an untouchable character. She's got plot armor, in my opinion, kind of like Rick and Carl do. But I don't know. They can kind of do whatever they want in the show. But if it is going to happen, I think it will happen at the end of season 9. And it'll be after a time jump. And I don't know. I see them doing it if they really want to stay true with the comic, since they're paralleling Michonne and Andrea so much between the comic and the show. They're going to do it. It's going to be at the end of season 9. I hope they don't do it. I just hope they don't do it. That's the best way I could put it. Like I said, you know, like Rick's got plot armor, so does Carl. I mean, I guess if they want to spice up the show, they would kill like Daryl or Michonne or somebody like that. But I just don't see a scenario where they would just get bit and that's just how they simply die. Like, that's how they go out. I just think that could be a suitable death for a comic character, and you can justify it in the comic book and all that. But in a show, to have more drama, for it to be way more dramatic, you're not going to just have Michonne, one of the strongest woman characters on television and one of the most badass characters in total, man or woman, on television, just get bit in the neck and go out like that. I just don't see that happening, and I don't want to see that personally. And Michonne's one of my favorite characters. I don't want her to die. And if she is going to die, I hope she goes out in a way more dramatic fashion than just getting bit on the neck. Hopefully it's her saving Carl or saving Rick or saving Daryl or something like that. You know, spice it up just a little bit more if you're going to kill Michonne, other than her just getting bit in the neck like how Andrea got bit in the neck in the comic and in the show. Because in the show, how Andrea died was complete BS. I hated her death. It is my least favorite death probably in the entire show. Still to this day is a bullshit death. So let's hope Michonne will live on for the rest of the show, however long the show may last. I don't know. People keep saying it's going to go 20 seasons. I highly doubt that. But I think this show has a solid 10 seasons. So we're going to season 8. I think if it gets to 10 seasons and it's still on top, I wouldn't be sad to see it go, because, you know, it's a real tricky situation if you keep going past 10 seasons. But that's a whole nother video I guess we could talk about. Comment down below. Do you think Michonne will die in season 9 or in season 8? But I'm predicting season 9. If she is going to get Andrea's death, it will be in season 9. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm really curious what other people's opinions are on this subject. And don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed. Make sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.